members of the Board of Trustees, members of the Platform Party, distinguished guests, faculty, and especially graduates, parents, family members, and friends. I offer my greetings as well as my deep appreciation for being here. It's truly an honor for me to be back in Oxford after all this time. It's great to be here again. When I was sitting in this audience as a member of Miami's graduating class of 1983, it never occurred to me even to consider the possibility of an honor of speaking before you today. An honorary PhD, my parents would be so proud. However, I think my daughter and wife are going to make fun of the outfit we got on today. I won't go so far as to say that I was an unpromising prospect to graduation, because this is Miami University, and there are no unpromising people here. I doubt, however, that anyone, from my European history professor to the bouncer at Mac and Joe's, to any of the women I was trying to impress, ever looked at me and said, "This gentleman's going to have an interesting career. Yes, sir, that man is going places." Frankly, I was as interested in my social life and in getting uptown for coffee as I was about studying. Some of us get our acts together a bit beyond our college years, and that's totally fine. I say that because I was one of those people. One of the few good things about aging up a bit is that you come to realize that the world needs the skills and abilities of each and every one of you, and not just the business majors who have it all figured out from day one. So if you spent the past few years questioning your competence or your choices or your abilities, you should know this. That's one of the things college is for. You're not the only one, or even one of the rare few, confronted with those doubts. And there will come a time when someone is going to be awfully happy, awfully grateful that you were in some particular place at some particular time. When I sat with my fellow graduates in Millett Hall, I was pretty clear I wanted a career in the Foreign Service, although it's equally clear that I had only the vaguest idea of what that meant. I thought my smarts, my ability to speak French and German, and my semi-obvious leadership abilities, and my very fine education would soon land me in France, in Belgium, or Germany. Graduate school in DC would seal the deal, and then I'd be off to be a diplomat, handling sensitive negotiations and drinking really good wine, which, by the way, I learned about here at Miami in a magnificent geography class taught by John Dome on Tuesday evenings. They still give that course, I think they do. In any case, so I left here, spent a year in Europe perfecting my German and French, and then went to get my master's degree in public administration at American University in Washington. I then joined the U.S. Foreign Service, and I thought I was a pretty smart guy. I was well prepared to work on sensitive negotiations and to promote American business abroad. I planned on going where the power and the prestige were. And I was deeply interested in Europe, and I was pretty excited. Now I'm going to share with you the first lesson about U.S. diplomacy. If you join the Foreign Service and you speak French, they just might not send you to Paris. They told me I was going to Haiti, and they wanted a mature officer. And yes, I had lost a lot of hair already at that point. So I won't lie, I didn't know much about Haiti. In fact, I didn't know anything, except AIDS and boat people. And I was disappointed. But it never occurred to me not to go. When you become a U.S. diplomat, you and the other new Foreign Service officers accept a commission from the President. You swear to uphold the U.S. Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic, and you commit to worldwide availability for service. My new wife, Susan, couldn't have come with me at the beginning of that first tour because, like now, the embassy was under evacuation, at that time due to election violence. I said goodbye to Susan and got on an airplane and felt like I was going off to serve a sentence. They sent me down to Haiti to do what most first tour Foreign Service officers do, issue a lot of visas and help American citizens in distress. This is a core and important function of what the State Department does overseas. But at that time, quite honestly, I wasn't too excited about that part. It didn't sound like high-stakes diplomacy to me. That was in 1987. Haiti had been under a corrupt, violent dictatorship since 1957, first under Papa Doc Duvalier and then under his son, Baby Doc. Baby Doc had been forced out in 1986 by a military coup as his own power started to unravel. He left behind a desperately poor people, a crumbling infrastructure, and a battered economy. Right around this time, a priest named Jean-Bertrand Aristide was starting to appear in the local newspapers for his work with the poor, but also for his threats against middle class and wealthy elites. He was building a following and political party called La Valace. He would eventually become President Aristide. So there I was in Haiti. Issuing visas teaches you to be decisive. You interview people in their language and determine whether they meet the qualifications to come to the United States, to visit or to live. If you are observant, this process will also give you a daily snapshot of the nation's aspirations and personality. Sometimes you catch fraud, but it gives you a grudging admiration for some people's ingenuity and nerve. There are also times you get to participate in one of the best moments in somebody's life, like when you issue a new immigrant visa to someone who's permitted to come to the United States to live. Serving American citizens abroad can also be fulfilling. You make sure a brand new American baby gets a passport. You accompany a grieving family and help them get the body home. Bring donated clothes and books to prisoners. You help Americans who are broke or lost or sick or frightened find their way back home. My first tour was a success for me in other ways too. We made Haitian friends, most of whom are still friends after over 20 years. Haitians are charming, hardworking, and fiercely intelligent people, and they are tough. Haiti's history has been at times violent and mystifying, but it can also be inspiring. You never get tired of trying to untangle and follow the threads. I followed the events in Haiti closely after I left in 1989, after having lived through 3 coups d'etat and 4 governments. That was the second thing I learned about the Foreign Service. Good things can come in really unpromising packages. During this time, President Aristide became popular and won the presidency in the first democratic election in 30 years. He was removed by a coup d'etat in 1991. In 1993, because of that first assignment in Haiti, I was offered the chance to participate in a truly fascinating historic initiative. I worked for President Clinton's special envoy, a senior diplomat named Ambassador Lawrence Pizzulo, who was the U.S. lead in the international negotiations that brought Aristide back to Haiti in 1994. After barely 5 years in the Foreign Service, I got to do some very cool things. I got to meet with the Secretary of State several times, got to meet the Vice President, and I got to negotiate with the head of state. Many people go through their entire careers without having a chance to do those things. Anyway, without realizing it, I had been tagged as a Haiti expert. 4 years later, I returned to Port-au-Prince to serve as the embassy's economic counselor from 1998 to 2000. I eventually got to Paris, and I got to Brussels and Bonn too. And yes, those are great assignments, fabulous. But it wasn't my time or in Paris or in Brussels that prepared me or brought to me to what happened next. In early 2009, President Obama announced his intention to nominate me to be the U.S. ambassador to Haiti after 3 years of working directly with Secretaries Rice and Clinton. By mid-2009, a certain fragile hope had taken root in Haiti. Economic growth was the highest in Latin America. Agricultural production was up. Instead of the disaster everyone predicted in the 1980s, AIDS prevalence was cut in half. Anti-corruption legislation was passed, and Haiti was receiving debt relief, which freed up resources the government lacked and was able to then plow back into the country. International investors were interested again. The U.S. government, as Haiti's largest bilateral donor, was an important part of that season of hope. Then came 4:53 p.m., January 12, 2010. Many Haitians don't refer to the earthquake by name. They call it Bagaila, the thing. So they ask each other, where were you when the thing happened? That area killed 230,000 people. It was as if an entire city about the size of Dayton had died. This number included thousands of university students taking their exams and children in their classrooms. The dead include some of the very best people in the Haitian government, business, and culture. The quake left 1.3 million people in camps and to move other displaced persons to safe ground. We have reached all the displaced families with basic shelter materials. We are distributing winter supplies so they can build transitional housing that will last and be developed. As Congress considers the administration's proposal to dedicate $1.13 billion over 2 years to rebuild Haiti, some people may ask, would it make sense to put so much money into Haiti in a time of tight budgets and unemployment at home? Foreign assistance is a tiny percentage of the overall federal budget, less than 1%. But I still think it's a valid question. But my answer is this: I don't think we can afford not to invest in Haiti. Herman Melville once wrote, "We cannot live for ourselves